You don't have to always rely on constant validation. And this is so contradictory to the regular corporate culture because you work to get validated.
Who, according to you, should be a consultant?
People who enjoy ambiguity, confusion, they usually would land up as a consultant. A failure is something in which you lack a certain skill or a certain parameter. Yes, there will be times in which you will be do a lot of trials and errors. You will fail, but don't be scared to fail.
What, according to you, is an important habit that every consultant must build?
If I'm an engineer, I don't know how to make a P&L account. And if I'm an CA, I don't know how to build a AI bot. So this clearly means lack of information, lack of skilled information.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pages of Pandora. This is the platform where we talk about stories and the authors behind them. Today, we are excited to welcome Deepto Bhattacharya, the author of the Real-World Consulting Playbook. Mr. Deepto is a consultant and a transformation leader with nearly 2 decades of experience across customer experience, AI, and digital transformation. His work focuses on building practical, human-centered solutions that create real business impact. Please join me in welcoming him. Is there anything that you would like to add on to that, sir?
No, that was a very good introduction of me. So thank you for having me. Excited to talk to you on this.
Okay, sir. So my very first question to you is, who, according to you, should be a consultant?
That's a great question, and usually I'm being showered this question quite a long time, and that's why I thought of writing that book eventually. And usually it happens that people tend to ask you that, okay, what exactly you do, yeah? And there are people who are just fresh out of college. They usually get quite attracted to this role, to be honest, but they are not sure that what exactly is these guys do. So I would say that in simple layman terms, and it may sound contradictory to a lot of folks, the picture they have in their head is people who enjoy ambiguity or confusion. They usually would land up as a consultant. Why? Because okay, you have to think out of the box. Don't have to restrain yourself within the system or within the said ecosystem for that matter. You don't have to always rely on constant or continuous validation for that matter. And this is so contradictory to the regular corporate culture because you work to get validated in a way, monetary, non-monetary. But in this kind of a role, it's not just full of ambiguous words, conversations, because there are times in which the client also doesn't know that what they want. They just say that, hey, we want to involve, say, example, AI, but we don't know what to do. I want my data to be clean, but I don't know what to do. So they have a problem, but they don't know how to structure it. But you being a consultant, you probably, I can say, become the vecna in their head, a reference of Stranger Things, and try to read between the lines and understand that what exactly is the client trying to say, but not through the words. So long story short, if you like structure, if you like organized structure, and probably an external authority or instruction basis kind of a role, then consulting is not for you. I mean, it involves a lot of uncertainty. It involves a lot of confusion. It involves a lot of ambiguous in the said ecosystem. But hey, I would say that if you like problems more than praises, then you will be able to survive in consulting.
Okay. So how different is consulting in reality from how it looks on LinkedIn?
That's again a great question. And I would say that LinkedIn has packaged consulting role quite well. And these days we have seen the memes around that, how to, articulate in a very, fancy words. And that's probably LinkedIn bio would be there. So on a similar note, I can say that LinkedIn will tell you a consulting is a glamorized role. It's more of a, polished presentations, wearing suits, ties, going to overseas on-site, stuffs and that. But real consulting is beyond that. It's beyond all the glamour and all the fancy looks. It involves messy rooms, messy in terms of data, unclean data, unclear problems, half-baked solutions, half-baked tools. And like I said before, the client also doesn't know what they want. to be honest with you. They know that something needs to be done, but they don't know what is there. So I can say that LinkedIn will tell you things in a very in a way that you'll be confident to say that, hey, this is something which I want to do. But real world consulting will test your confusion tolerance, if I can say that. So that's something I will say as a contradictory approach.
Okay, so who, according to you, should not do consultancy? Any like structure?
Yeah. Right. So this will be an extension of our first question here, that who would be a consultant. So kind of an extension that, like I said before, if you're someone who would need someone on your head, like an authority, an external authority, or someone who will tell you probably an instruction basis that, okay, these are the 10 things you would have to do, a structured approach or an organized approach, then I would say consulting is not for you, because you don't need a boss when you're a consultant. You again, like I said, you don't need a boss. That means you don't need an external validation. You don't need an instruction manual to tell you that what needs to be done. And for that security part, because if you don't know what needs to be done, it comes from within. So you are the boss of your own work. You need to feel insecure. And yes, there will be times when consulting will feel like anxiety. So if you can handle that, then probably step in consulting. But if all these things are appearing to be a scary picture, I'm using words like confusion, anxiety, no boss, no external authority, no validation, and if all these things and lack of structure, so all these things scare you, no, not consulting, definitely.
So basically, someone who can enjoy independence and at the same time the chaos.
Exactly, that's the right word to say. Enjoying the chaos.
Okay. How do you know when you're ready to stop being an employee and start thinking like a consultant?
That's interesting. Yeah. So when do we stop being an employee and being a got it. So I would say that usually people identify consulting role, especially a freelancing consulting role for that matter, as more of a freedom. You feel that it's free, but and yeah, definitely it is freedom. There is freedom in consulting role, because like I said, there is no kind of a boss or a validation to tell you on this. So there is no HR, no manager, no safety net. So you are removing the good aspects. You're also removing the bad aspects. Like I said, there is no safety net. All risk, all troubles will be yours. All loss will be yours. So basically, I can say that in all these aspects, yes, there is freedom because you are completely on your own. You have to rely on your skills. You have to understand how the market mood is. So your market's mood is your, barometer, or to understand how things would be there. But long story short, again, freedom from, consulting isn't actually freedom from work or freedom from authority. It's actually involving a lot of responsibility. So when you don't have anyone on the top of your head or telling you what needs to be done or what not needs to be done, it's your own emotional volatility which will tell you that, this is my integrity and this is how I need my structure to be done or not. So yeah, a lot of homework needs to be done, and not a lot of preparedness should be there. And this is where okay, I can drive my own without a chauffeur, if I can say that. If you're able to drive your own business, when I say business, even the corporate professionals, that's yours. Whatever job you're doing, whatever job you're doing in your job profile per se, the JD per se, that's your business. So if you're able to drive that business without being asked, without anyone telling you that you need to do this, you don't need to do this, then probably consulting is something which you can more relate to.
How do you handle periods of uncertainty?
Uncertainty.
Yes.
That's probably quite an pervasive truth, if I can call it a continuous truth. So, and it is terrifying, to be honest with you. Yes, there are times in which you are not sure, like I said before, if you are able to handle anxiety, if you are able to handle confusion, then consulting is something which is kind of you're fit for consulting role. Now, if you're not, kind of in a way that you're prone to anxiety or you're prone to such kind of a confused environment, clearly you've stepped into a role in which you had no idea before, or you had probably no structured thought around that. All you are doing is removing all excuses that, hey, I'm not certified to do this, or hey, this is not my job. Hey, I did engineering. How would I know finance? Yeah, or I did CA. How or not I'm able to build an AI tool? Such kind of excuses, you have to remove yourself from this. In consulting world, you own everything. You are responsible for everything, and that's the hard truth. That's very terrifying, honestly. And probably the folks who are in the already in job or in structured business, they would probably relate to it that. It's not my role. How not am I supposed to do this? And that's a predominantly a fear always. But for consultant, you are at the hotspot always. Doesn't matter if your education is from a CA or an engineer, whatever. You will be thrown at things which you are not sure about. So probably here, anchoring yourself from this, that how I can self-direct myself, how can I be decisive on my own. So on this, you have to rely on your own analysis, your own data, and probably seek for a mentor. And if you don't have a mentor, my website will be there somewhere in this call.
Okay, so how can someone deal with self-doubt when they no longer have that company tag behind them?
Good question. So, how to rely on that? And yeah, and this is a very good question, because a lot of people, even irrespective of age here, they try to relate their own identity with labels. So example, if someone says that, hey, what do you do? They usually say that, hey, I'm a manager in Google or AWS or whatever. Yeah, my job designation becomes my identity, right? Not the
Yeah.
skills, not me as a human being. This is where I would say the breakdown happens, because the moment you associate yourself to a certain role, yeah, that's where you restrict yourself. And as a consultant, like I said, you're doing everything. You are responsible for everything. So just being an XYZ manager or an XYZ director will not let you, perform as a consultant across. So you have to rely on your skills. So when I say skills, I'm not a label. So I'm saying I'm not just a manager at XYZ, or I'm not just a director at ABC, but maybe I'm a people coach. I'm a leadership coach. Yeah, maybe I'm good with communications. Maybe, hey, I know how to talk to people, or I know that these guys are good in this stuff, those guys are good in that stuff, but I can act as a bridge between you guys. Yeah, I'll be say resourceful. So I'm if you look at the words which I'm saying, I'm not using labels per se, I'm using skills. So that's where probably you can start moving your area of work also. And this is something, I don't want to scare people, but yeah, this is something which we will all see in the next 10 years or 5 years at least, that people will start crossing boundaries of their organization and stop saying that I'm a manager for XYZ, and start saying that I'm a, say, a skilled coach, something like that. So probably on those aspects, you can start experimenting on this consulting level also.
Can you tell me 5 important skills according to you, which are very, very important to be a consultant?
Okay, 5 important skills.
Yes.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I have put this in my book. I feel I will probably use that also. Yeah. First of all, like I said, um, analytical thinking. So clearly, when you don't have someone to direct you or instruct you, you have to rely on your own database, your data pool, your knowledge pool, if I can call it, and how to use that section of um, um, data for that matter. So to have information out of the data pool, you don't need to just be good in analytical thinking, but also structurally involve those data points to understand the information out of it. Now, what I'm trying to say here, because I know I've said that there are times in which consulting role breaks down the structured wall, but here, yes, you are breaking down the structured wall, but your style of workmanship involves structuring. So, like I said before, that sometimes you have to step inside the client's mind and understand that what is exactly their problem, what exactly is their components which they are thinking of. Maybe they are not able to articulate in words, but can you try to give them a picture that, hey, is this the framework which you're looking for, before jumping to the solution? So this is where analytical thinking and structured problem solutions would come into it. And that would probably be my first point, that structured problems and the analytical thinking around it would be my first point here. And while doing it, my second point is good communication, or effective communication rather. When I say good communication, I don't mean that, okay, you have to speak in English or a good fancy accent. No, you have to be clear in terms of both verbal as well as presentation mode, because a lot of time we are dealing with dashboards, PowerPoint slides, and sometimes you have to do storytelling. Sometimes those a client is not able to understand the solution which you are pitching, so you have to be in their shoes. So I'll give you a random example, and that's a real world example. If my client is from, say, finance, how can I pitch a solution which is customized for marketing? Right? Clearly not. But I know that this tool have worked with my previous client who was from marketing, and that tool worked. And this is the same tool probably will solve the solution for the finance guys too. But the same pitch won't sell here. I have to tweak my storytelling a bit, maybe use the same data point, but maybe I have to use my storytelling skills, my communication skills to sell the same product or solution to my other client. And this is where effective communication turn into place. So this is what I mean by effective communication and storytelling, by, I would say, breaking down the complex ideas and making it a creative and a compelling storytelling to probably persuade clients and take their action. That's my second point. And while you are handling with clients, obviously, the third will be to have a good client relationship engagement. So, like, if you are not, having an empathy with the client, you won't be able to be in their mind and understand that what exactly are they trying to understand. Here, I would also use that more than IQ, which is more technical, I'll be leaning over EQ, which is emotional intelligence. So you have to build trust. You have to be transparent with the data points and conversation with your stakeholders' expectations, and you have to, navigate such kind of, empathy or data point to exhibit a strong, lasting relationship with the client, so that they can trust you. Like I said before, sometimes they are not sure what to say, but if you are able to empathize and understand the EQ part, they will be able to trust you more. And that is the factor in which you can have a good structured communication and a project management skill. And this is my fourth point, which is project management. Clearly, this involves a lot of technical skills also. This will be helping you, such as certification like a PSPO or a PMP certified. These are all technical skills, technical certification, which will help you to understand how, say, a work streams in a certain project management will do. So, example, if I have to de-jargonize it, how to manage project timelines better, how to prioritize my role, how to prioritize my mailbox, or which client is more tech savvy, who is not, how to manage quality, how to have a good work balance, and overall such stuffs. This will come when you have a good structured education. And when I'm saying education, I do not mean the school or graduation education. I mean a more structured education aligned to your role, which will help you to manage the data as well as the clients better. So here's such project management. Say education, not just a certificate, but the education will help in. And lastly, you have to be adaptive and flexible. There is no validation, like I said before. There is no timeline. So you don't have to say that, okay, 8 hours done, 9 hours done, my job is over. Sadly, no. No. I might be echoing the same words which a lot of senior professionals might have used, that 40 hours a week time, you have to work and all that stuff. So the idea is, you have to constantly working, but this constantly working may sound terrifying, but it is not exactly the work which you have in your mind. Because as a consultant, you have to be educated also. You have to keep learning what's going on in the new industry. So sometimes, if say, I'll again go back to my previous questions answers, that if I'm a CA, I have to understand how an AI works. I have to get educated through the engineering work. And if I'm an engineer, I don't know how the P&L works, how the balance sheet works. I have to be educated on that stuff. And since I have no one to instruct me, I have to learn it on own. So the entire timeline exceeds, and it lengthens kinds of. So you are being productive, I would say that's the right word, being productive for most of the time, whether it's self-coaching, self-training, and not just being working for that matter. Because when we say working, usually people think that, okay, I have to constantly be on computer, do this, do that, make Excel sheets. No, you have to be productive. Self-coaching is also productive. Talking to your mentor is also productive. You can do that. So these are my 5 pointers. If you want, I can enumerate once more. That my first point was structured problem and analytical thinking. Second point was more of a clear, effective communication rather than just good communication, and a storytelling. Storytelling I always watch for. If a consultant is not good in storytelling, he is not a consultant. Thirdly, client relationship, and I focus EQ more here than IQ. Fourth is a good project management skill or technical tool per se, that will help you in your job. And fifth is adaptability and flexibility.
Okay, what according to you is an important habit that every consultant must build?
One habit.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. One habit is clearly you you would have to forget that there is something called as a pat on the back or a validation. Like I said before, there is no one to tell you that. Example, if on a regular job you'll be celebrated, you'll be applauded if you meet your targets or you exceed them, or at least employee of the month, something like that. There is no such labels here. You might be working 12 hours, 14 hours a day, no labels, and no such pat on the back. No one will tell you that, hey, you are the best employee of the month or best employee of the quarter. Maybe some good big names might do that, but overall, no one would do that. And there will be times when you will be basically nurturing a certain project like a baby, but that project will be thrown to someone else. So you have to be a kind of a detached, yet work on your skills more than just the labels. And this may become confusing to a lot of new folks. When I say new folks, even the first 10 years in the industry is kind of new, because you are learning the technical skills and know-how of it. So this is something which probably is an uncomfortable truth, that I'm self-directed. I'm still not as decisive. I'm not a good consultant. How can I know everything to be a consultant, right? But yes, there will be times in which you will do a lot of trials and errors. You will fail, but don't be scared to fail. I would say that if a good consultant, you wouldn't be, scared to fail, and you have to think beyond brands, think beyond roles, think beyond CVs to have that identity. Don't involve your identity, like I said before, as a fixed manager or a fixed role kind of thing. No tags.
So, what does failure look like in consulting, and how should people deal with it?
That's a very good question. What is a failure in consulting? Now, usually people say that a failure is something in which you lack a certain skill or a certain parameter is not working, or they are failing, or some technical issues. So how can I restrict myself or detach myself or be stoic in that way, that all these uncertainties will be there, and yet I'll not say that I'm failing. So rather I'll say I've not failed, but hey, I've learned an opportunity to how to drive XYZ better. Maybe that is an approach probably will help you say that, because failure is continuous. Just like learning is continuous, failure is also continuous. So if I start saying that as a consultant I failed in XYZ, I'm also restricting myself on those opportunities rather than saying that okay, I'm good in ABC, but I'm not so good in say 1, 2, 3, and these are the aspects in which probably I would need more information. So clearly, in one sentence, if you think you're failing in consulting, it doesn't mean you are failing. It means you lack certain information from those aspects. So maybe hunt down more resources. And the five bullet points we discussed in the last question, the first bullet point was structured thinking and analytical thinking. So you have to create your data pool once more and focus on that part.
That was a very practical advice. And my final question to you would be, if someone is standing at a crossroad in their career, why should this book be the book they pick up?
All right. Now, clearly, I have not written this book or thought of this concept to motivate people. This is not like, hey, I'm confused, and there is some friend who will say that, hey, I'm as confused as you are. So this book is like that. So basically, we are looking at the same problem at the same time and maybe putting two heads instead of one. And if we put two heads together, maybe we'll be able to find more solutions, if not problem. So that's what basically my book is trying to be. It's not trying to be a motivational guru. It's not yet a Sandeep Maheshwari or something, but at least it is something which will be like a buddy who will, maybe like a drink buddy, who will say that, hey, you have a problem, I'll try with you.
Okay, that was really beautifully answered. Thank you so much for joining us today. And to everyone watching this video, please check out his book, The Real-World Consulting Playbook. You saw the passion with which he talked about consultancy. You can also check him out on the mentioned platforms. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks. Pleasure.